Hello, my lovely YouTubers. So in this video, we are going to be repotting a Cattleya orchid. This one has been long overdue for a repot. I just haven't gotten around to repotting it, I'll be honest. It looked like a challenge, and I got lazy just looking at it, but it definitely needed to be repotted, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. First of all, I have to take off this pot. It was a nightmare trying to untangle that mass of roots. Plus, I had to cut the pot, which was unfortunate. I really like to try and recycle the pots that I use, but sometimes it is more important to save the orchid than it is to save the pot. So luckily this one was a plastic pot and wasn't like a porcelain or, wait, do they even make porcelain pots? Maybe I'm thinking of a toilet. Okay, you know what I'm talking about though, those really nice cachet pots. I'm glad it wasn't one of those, because then I'd probably have to take a hammer to it or something. But this one was plastic, so I was able to just use a pair of scissors, which was nice. So taking off the pot was quite the challenge. I'm still trying to take it off after a couple minutes. So this is the point you don't want your orchid to get to, so that's why they say to repot your orchids every couple of years. So this one has been long overdue for a repot, but I purchased it this way. This was one of the orchids I picked up at my local orchid society, so I saw that bunched up massive roots and thought it was really healthy, which it is, but again, long overdue for a repot. So I'm lucky I didn't cut off my own finger or much of the orchid's roots. I actually saved pretty much all of the orchid's roots. I only had to cut off the dead ones, so that was nice. So basically just pulling off each piece by piece, which was annoying. But I finally did get the plastic pot off, even though it doesn't look like it from here. But with your bifoliate Cattleyas, you'll know it's a good time to repot when you see those green root tips. So this one did have a lot of green root tips that you'll be seeing throughout the video, so I knew it was a good time to repot. Now the reason they say to repot when it has the green root tips is because the roots are in active growth, so typically it's less stressful for the plant to repot when the roots are green. So you can see the green root tips coming out of over there, and there's a lot of green root tips on this orchid. Still trying to get the pot off. Very difficult. Thank goodness. Okay, I finally got the old pot off, and you can see the new pot, which I didn't end up using because it was too small, and my orchid medium, which is bark sponge rock right there, and fir bark chunks. Really, really great mix. I get this from my local greenhouse, and I love using it because it's already pre-mixed and I can just buy a bag of the stuff. Tools you'll need: a lighter and a pair of pruning shears. Anything sharp you're going to want to disinfect with the flame, or you can use alcohol. Of course, you're going to want to have an orchid. So this is my Brassolalia Cattleya Green Dragon. And you're also going to want a bucket. Oh, just kidding. Oh, the leaves, they were droopy. That's what I was trying to show you guys. And the pseudobulbs were really shriveled, so it wasn't getting enough moisture to its roots. That's why it has those green, actively growing root tips. It's trying to search for more moisture. So I'm going to soak it first for about 20 minutes is how long I soaked this one for. And the reason you're going to want to soak it is to break up the media. I also used a organic fertilizer. Seaweed just stimulates the roots. So I'm going to soak it in this bucket of seaweed water. So I did 1 capful of the seaweed mixture to 1 gallon of water, and soak it for about 15 to 20 minutes just to break up the old media and also to give the roots a little bit of a pick-me-up. So I'm just going to soak this guy because he's definitely dehydrated. You can see the shriveled pseudobulbs. They're very, very sad looking. This one definitely wanted a drink of water. I wasn't able to keep up with its watering needs because of all those roots being outside of the pot. So once the orchid has soaked, then you'll be able to disinfect your pruning shears. I'm just using a pair of scissors because I couldn't find my pruning shears. I have no idea where those things went. And you're going to want to try and get every part of the blade that will be touching the orchid's roots. These are actually really sharp scissors, so you don't want to use any shears that are dull. You want to make sure that you do a nice clean cut with a sharp pair of tools. So I have my pot full of packing peanuts. I love packing peanuts as a pot filler. I didn't actually end up having to use many because, like I said, this orchid was huge and didn't need a whole lot of packing peanuts at the bottom. So now I'm going to pull it out and you can see all of those green roots. So that makes it super, super easy for knowing which ones to cut and which ones to leave. The green ones, obviously they are alive, and these brown ones here that you see, of course they are dead. So those are the ones that I'm going to cut off. I actually didn't have to cut off too many roots, which was nice. A lot of them were alive. Now, the actual root ball, if you can see here, it's been stained and squished, and a lot of those look dead, but I had no idea of determining which ones were alive and which ones were dead. So I just focused on the ones that were actively growing. So I've taken off the roots. You can see not many, but I still did have to take off a few. And you can see the ones that were left behind are nice and green, and I don't even know what to do with that. Okay, so I tried to put it in this terracotta pot, but it was way too big. It's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I literally used 3 different pots. I used that first plastic one you saw, then I tried the terracotta, and finally I have this one here that was just barely big enough. So it's a little snug in the pot, but that's good. That's what you want. You want to have a snug fit for your orchid. You don't want it to be too big. If it's too big, then the orchid will focus on making roots and might not bloom for you. So you can see that the pseudobulbs are flush with the top of the pot there. There will be some roots above the media, but that's okay because Cattleyas, they do like to dry out between waterings. So once you have your Cattleya situated inside of the pot, then you're going to want to fill it in with your choice of orchid bark. So I'll just be filling it in. And this one was nice because of the snug fit. I didn't have to use a rhizome clip, so that was a plus for me. I don't really like using the rhizome clips on the plastic pots. They don't work as well. That's why I tried putting it in the terracotta pot, but it didn't work out as I had hoped. So just filling around the roots. Like I said, there will be some roots that will be above the medium, but Cattleyas, they do like to dry out between waterings, so it's fine if you have a little bit of root showing above the medium. So you just want to pack it in, and you can pack it in as tightly as you want because there still will be air pockets, air moving around the roots because it is a medium chunk bark mix. They say not to pack the medium in if you're using like sphagnum moss that is really easy to suffocate the roots with, but these are large chunks here, so you can pack it in pretty tightly if you're using bark. And I don't like to use sphagnum moss on Cattleyas anyways. It's okay if if you have an orchid that's recovering, or if you have a seedling type Cattleya, it's okay to use sphagnum moss on those. But other than that, I don't really like to use the sphagnum moss because the orchids do like to dry out. So now I'm just putting some more mix into the pot. So packing it in nice and tight. making sure that that orchid does not move around inside of its pot. You don't want to damage any of those new root tips. Like I said, another way to ensure that you don't damage those new root tips is to use a rhizome clip. And we're almost done here, just putting the finishing touches on this pot here. And I'll hold it up and show you guys. So you do see a little bit of root showing above the medium, but the pseudobulbs are flush with the top of the pot, and that's what I was going for. Plus, this pot was just a hair snug for this orchid. I didn't have any other pots, so it'll have to do, but I think it'll be fine for now until I get a suitable size pot for this orchid, which should be in about 2 years. Because that'll be the next time I repot this orchid. Alrighty guys, thanks for tuning into my channel. Follow me on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you guys later.